Hey there, Spare Time and YouTubers. Welcome to the new episode of Early Rise Talking Sketch. If you're new to this channel, Early Rise Talking Sketch is a simple, casual conversation in which I talk about a different artistic topic while a piece of artwork comes to fruition in front of you if you're watching this on YouTube. Now, if you do not have yourself a cup of coffee or a hot tea or whatever it is that you prefer to drink in the morning, go grab yourself one and let's dive into it. Well, today's episode, I'm going to dive into the topic of being pulled into different directions. Now, currently right now, with my workload of work and life and freelance and everything else, I get pulled in all sorts of different directions. But my real focus for today's topic is really to talk about being pulled in different directions at a specific thing. So in this case, I'm going to be referring to more of my freelance. So if you're doing artwork or projects like that, that's kind of where this is going to fall in that realm of. Now, with being pulled in different directions, there's really two things you really have to think about, and that is managing it and weighing it. And I'm going to go into both of those, and then I'll kind of sum it all up towards the end with how to help prevent it moving forward. Now, again, these topics kind of go back to the first episode of Early Rise Talking Sketch, and that is setting up your artistic goals. What are your artistic goals for the year? And even for me, this kind of falls into this, because I am definitely a creature of habit. I tend to constantly overwhelm myself. I tend to constantly overbook myself just because I always think that I can eat more of the pie than I actually can eat of that pie. So going into that, start with the first topic of managing it. Now, when it comes to managing your different projects, you definitely need to get a hold of yourself either a calendar or a planner of some sort, be it digital or handwritten. Calendars and planners are a must in my opinion. I have multiple calendars, both digital and physical calendars. I do believe, after reading some research on it, and studies that have been done on the topic, it is definitely recommended that you have a written kind of calendar or some way of writing something down, because when you write something down, it tends to stick better. This will help you too when you're getting pulled in so many different directions about not dropping the ball on a project or forgetting about a project. Because I can definitely say that there have been times where I've had like 4 or 5 people come to me at one time and I'm trying to do something and I didn't write down what they said, and because of that, I dropped the ball on a project that was coming up because I didn't have it in writing, and at that point, so much of the stuff hit me that I forgot it. So I would always say handwritten is a great thing for your planner, but calendar-wise, I definitely do focus more as far as calendar goes, heavily on my digital calendars, just because I have so many different things going on in life that it allows me to quickly and easily filter things out. And since I always have my smartphone on me, like most of the world does, I tend to stare at that a lot during the day and even during the week. And so I'm constantly looking back at that as a reference. And because of that too, you can also set reminders with a digital calendar that you cannot really do with a handwritten one. So reminders are a great thing to kind of like prompt me, oh yeah, I need to call this person, or oh yeah, I need to work on this project today. Oh yeah, I have a deadline coming up. So I would definitely say the digital side definitely has its benefits, whereas I truly believe the written side does as well. And that is, I just think the written side helps it stick. Now, with managing this, I also recommend that everyone get one, and that is a dry erase board, a big, good size dry erase board. I have both a dry erase board, just a blank one, your standard white dry erase board, and I also have one that is a calendar, a big giant calendar. So for me, I have my digital calendar, which has all the little nuances on it and the little things that come up and basic little life things. But then I have a giant dry erase calendar that is specific to my freelance projects or specific to Spare Time Studios, in which case I write on this like what projects I have coming up or what events or what's going on. And because I have this big dry erase calendar, I have it mounted literally right by my desk. So when I go into my office or into my studio, if you will, I see that calendar. It's a constant visual reminder the moment I walk through the door. So I definitely definitely recommend getting yourself a dry erase calendar, or just even a board that you can then, put lines on or information on to let you know visually the moment you walk in, and put it somewhere where you can see it too. I always laugh when I see people who have dry erase boards or dry erase calendars that they literally almost like have hidden behind a door or in a closet. And I'm like, out of sight, out of mind. You need to put that right where you can see it. So the moment you come in to do your stuff that day or to work on a project, you can't help but look up and go, yep, I need to do that. Or, yep, that's coming up and I really need to be aware, and that's something to kind of really keep in mind. Now, if you are doing a lot of freelance projects, or you're working on something a little bit more serious, and especially if you're working on it with other people, so this is being pulled in a direction that is also reliant on other people. Another thing I suggest getting yourself, which you can tie into your calendars, and that is some sort of project management software, be it something like Asana or one of the other many ones that are out there. I've kind of delved a little bit into Asana back in the day when I was working with people, but right now I'm primarily working on my own, and the little bit of collaboration I do happen to do doesn't really require that right now. But I can definitely see in the future, when I start to get these bigger, larger projects where I am working with multiple people, something like some sort of project management software is going to have to be a must. It's not even a question of am I or am I not. No, I am. It's just going to be then at that point what specific program I'm going to dive into. And maybe when I get to that point, I'll probably end up doing an episode that dives more into project management software, or maybe even do a separate whole video series in itself about project management. Now, besides managing your projects and how you keep up with this information, how you see what's going on, how you kind of organize your schedule, the next thing is really going to be about weighing these different projects. And this is where I am horrible at, and something I personally am trying to work on. And then again, that's part of the series. It's part of this series that I started earlier. I was talking sketch, is really to kind of talk about these different artistic topics and let you know that you're not the only one going through this. Most artists go through this. I myself am going through this as well. And that is weighing out our projects, and that because the biggest thing as an artist is sometimes we put weight on things that doesn't need a certain level and not enough on another. And to give you an example of this. So the first thing is when you start to tackle all these different projects, and don't even think about the deadline per se as much as the importance behind it. Because let's be honest, like you could probably get a deadline of a project that's like, draw some flowers for a friend of yours for the heck of it, and there's like really no real importance on it. You've just set your own deadline for, I want to have this for them by a week. Okay, that's deadline really isn't that important of a deadline. Whereas if you have an actual client come to you, and that client's paying you hundreds or thousands or whatever for this product that you're producing for them, be it a design, be it a concept, be it a physical item, that kind of puts a little bit more importance on that specific deadline and item. So when you start to go back to your managing of your calendar, start to really think about what is important in the sense of how does that reflect back to you. Now this kind of goes into my second one here about weighing projects. Besides what is important, it goes hand in hand with what gives you the biggest bang for your buck or your return on investment. In this case, being a freelancer, I may have a project that I'm doing that's like for somebody that's like an icon, but it's like $5, and then I have another project for a bigger client that is, closer to several $100s. Well, in all honesty, the biggest bang for my buck here is the $100. And in all honesty, it depends on what that one little icon for this client is. I may put more effort or time towards the bigger return on investment, in all honesty. I mean, it just all depends. But again, this also goes back to who the client is. I mean, this is some random new client who's just testing you out. Yeah, it could be potentially more, but at the same time, you're taking a gamble on that potential. Whereas maybe the one that's paying you more is a consistent, reoccurring client. I mean, this client comes to you constantly, day after day, week after week, whatever. You're going to want to keep that client happy because you know they're a returning customer, whereas the other one's not. And then this can also be applied to the ideas of things you're doing for people just for the heck of it, but at the same time, I guess in my mind, if you're doing things for the heck of it versus things for freelance and making money, in that realm, then, the importance is kind of a little bit different because you're not reliant on a form of income. For me, the freelance gives me a separate sort of income, and I'm kind of becoming a little bit more reliant on that to get my company started. So keep that in mind. What is important and what gives you the biggest bang for your buck? Now, going on, the next topic is when you start to think about what you're jumping into, what is the most daunting task for you? And I want to say this, Mark Twain made a quote about, consume the ugliest, largest frog first. So whatever your most daunting task first, that might be the one you want to jump on and get knocked out first. Because once you can get that accomplished, everything else just seems like easy from that point. So sometimes the heavier, daunting task can definitely be the one you want to tackle first. Get it out the way, especially if you're just starting off your morning. Like for me, I used to do a little bit of warm up, but I'll try to jump on my more daunting tasks first because I know that I'm the most alert when I first start out during the day. And if I wait to tackle that towards the end of the day, I'm already exhausted. I'm already tired. My brain's already spent. So I try to think about it in that realm. But at the same time, I do give coin towards the concept of what can you knock out quick. So if you do have some little meager little tasks that you can knock out quicker, or projects you can knock out really fast, and you can knock it out fast, then yeah, sure, why not knock those out real quick? But as long as that doesn't hinder you from achieving the bigger tasks, the harder tasks, the more time-consuming tasks. So that's something I will say that goes heavily into weighing for me. And this is where I kind of fall short sometimes. Because sometimes the quicker little task can sometimes be a little bit more fun than the larger daunting task. Because I can just do them, get out, get done, and I kind of enjoy that. I like being able to switch things up quick. And sometimes I do get kind of tired of being on the same task over and over and over again, or for multiple weeks or months or whatever. So I get it. But again, it's really keeping that discipline that you'll start to produce while you sort of do this about what's important and, what you can handle. I mean, that's going to be something you have to learn about yourself too. So this is internal learning. Again, these are these artistic goals that you're trying to achieve at the year. And one of those artistic goals is definitely learning more about yourself as an artist, what you can handle, what you can work on, and training yourself to get through those moments where you are being pulled in multiple directions from multiple different projects. And in all honesty, you don't have to even do a project up to the completion. So this kind of goes back to the management thing. So again, we're going to be jumping back and forth between waiting and management. Going back to the management stage, the managing of things, understand that you don't have to start a project and you have to finish it right then. Maybe you just work on like one of these bigger daunting projects up to a point to where you're just tired of working on it, and you're starting to slow down. Because when you start to slow down and you're not being as productive, you might as well jump to a different task for a bit and then come back, because maybe you just need a moment to step away from it. So managing your calendar that way too, and giving yourself enough time. Now this goes into the kind of like the third topic I wanted to dive into, and that is how to prevent this from happening. But even if it does happen, it's going to happen. I hate to say it's not going to happen. It's going to happen. You are going to get pulled in multiple directions. Is really think about the concept of preventing, and that's preventing in the sense of A, getting stressed out about it, and B, hopefully not being put in this situation. But always keep in mind that whatever you're going to tackle, everything takes more time than what you think it does. So if you can think you can knock a project out in a day, bullcrap. You're not going to do it. You might as well just in your brain say, yep, it's going to take me 2 days. Always, in a sense, I almost say almost double whatever you think it's going to take you. Or at least, add some additional time to it, because if you think it's going to take you a day, give yourself an extra day or 2. Even give yourself 2 days, 2 more days. So you think it's going to take you a day, tell the client it's going to take you 3. That way you've given yourself not just the time, an extra time for any kind of refining or critiquing or going back and forth with the client. You're also giving yourself a little bit of a cushion. Now, again, I am horrible about this. I am very, very bad about yeah, oh yeah, I can do this in a day, and I'll get there and I'm like, holy crap, this is way more than I can handle in a day. I should have gave myself 2. I always look back and go, I should have gave myself this, I should have gave myself that. So this is something I'm working on as my artistic goals, is to get better at realizing how much time something actually takes. Because again, I get very ambitious and I think I can tackle, multiple projects in a short amount of time. And that kind of goes into the next one. Whatever you think you can handle, cut that in half. So if you think you can handle 10 projects, dude, you can only handle 5. If you think you can handle 2 projects, you probably can only really handle 1. And if you are going to try to handle 2, give yourself the additional time and cushion to adjust for that. Give yourself that extra little leeway to where if you are falling behind, the client doesn't know. You have your mental state, in your mind, I can do this in a day, but you told the client you give them 3 days. So even if you can't get it in the day, you've given yourself at least enough cushion with the client to where the client knows no better, in the sense of they're just gonna be like, oh, okay, cool, he got it to me when he said he would. So you able to keep your promise, and again, that's where I'm having a hard time myself, because I like to tell people what I'm just thinking. So in my mind, I'm thinking a day, I tell a client a day. I got to get past that personally, and I think that, if you're the same way as me, maybe you should start doing the same thing too. If you think it's going to take you a day, tell the clients to take you 2 or 3. Give yourself that cushion, give yourself that leeway. And, this kind of goes back to, again, you're managing your calendar, knowing how many days something actually takes you. And then besides that, it also goes into, how you weigh things as well. And that can be part of how much time. So yeah, you think something's going to take you a day or 2 to do, but maybe you already have 4 or 5 things in your calendar. And now you're weighing this new project and you're weighing it against what you're currently working on, because maybe this client is a reoccurring client, that comes in. Maybe you already have projects that are due in 5 or 6 days, but this client comes back and he needs this in 3. And he's the newest project on your list. So in your mind, well, this could come last. No, but maybe this one becomes first now, because this is a returning client who really needs your help. You have a good standing relationship with them. They're offering you some extra money to get it done quicker. So in my mind, that one kind of gets a little higher weight. So then you may have to shuffle some things. And with all this too, don't be, and this is, again, this is me, the pot calling the kettle black here, telling people to do something that I myself am working on, and that is, don't be afraid to go back to one of your clients and say, hey, look, I'm a little overwhelmed right now. Can you give me an extra day on something? Can you give me an extra day or 2? Or how bad do you really need this right now? So in my mind, just communicate with your clients if you are doing freelance. And that's what I'm kind of referring to this. But even if you're not, maybe if you are just doing this for the heck of it, to help, somebody out for the heck of it, or just because you want to be nice, give that extra leeway. Don't be afraid to ask for it. Because again, you won't know how the client will react, or the friend or whoever you're doing this for will react until you actually ask them. And it doesn't hurt to ask. If they say, no, I really need it by Friday, okay, cool. Well, then that at least gives you some clarity on your schedule as well, versus assuming. If you don't have to assume, don't. Simply ask. Get it out there. And in some cases too, I like to, when dealing with clients, since I deal a lot with people on Fiverr and via email or message, I ask them via that platform. And because of that, I have it in writing even. So in my case of dealing with clients, I have it in writing here. Hey, do you mind if I give you another day? Can you give me another day? And the client's like, yes, I can. Well, now I have it in writing that client gave the approval of that extra day. So they can't turn back around and say, oh, no, I need it. You lied to me. You didn't get to me this day. Okay. Not that I ever come really across those kind of clients. Most clients I deal with are pretty laid back and awesome. But, occasionally you may come across one of those. But hey, guys, that kind of pretty much sums up my thing. And, as far as being pulled in different directions, just, keep an eye out for how you decide to manage those, be it digital versus written, how you weigh your stuff, and how you kind of go about trying to prevent getting in those situations. So keep those 3 major topics in mind. Other than that, guys, that definitely concludes this episode of Early Rise Talking Sketch. I do have another episode coming out here within a week. This one's going to be about larger detailed projects, in which case I'm going to dive a little bit more into working on a larger project, or one that takes a little bit more time, as I'm playing with one right now. And that, guys, thanks again for watching. If you would like to support our channel, or you'd like to find out more about us, you can find out more information on news and events with us on our website, Facebook, Twitter account. If you want to be a little bit more personable with us, you can check us out on Instagram, Tumblr, and DeviantArt, all of which I would put in the links for down below. Also, too, if you really just want to support this channel, simply hit the like button or subscribe to keep up to date on the new videos that we release. Or you can even check us out on Patreon, or check out some of our merch if you'd like to support us that way. Other than that, guys, again, thank you for watching, and as always, make every one of your days an adventure.